What's up, man? Hope y'all having a blessed one. Back with another one right here. We got cops search for missing sister leads to a evil monster. Let's get into this one right here, man.
What's going on?
So, my sister's not here.
Okay.
This is not like her. They went to bed last night around 10:30. She was here with the ex-husband. But her cars are here, her phone's here, her purse is here. This is not like her.
The disappearance of 46-year-old Dawn Sandoval turned into a bang mystery when she appeared to be trapped in a tangled web of complex relationships and shifting dynamics. Anyone with a dark motive could have been behind her disappearance, or perhaps it was all just a fabrication, concealing something far more sinister.
She's just somewhere, and we've just gotta find her.
But cops were stunned when the search for Dawn ultimately led them to an evil monster.
Sandoval County Police Fire and Rescue.
Hi. I was wondering, I don't know if it's an animal or a person, but it kind of looks like an arm.
This is a different type of evil that we've never seen before.
Come here. Put your hands. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands.
On April 16th, 2018, at around
Not even
8:20
streaming.
p.m.
That's
in
how
Rio
crazy
Rancho,
that
New
is.
Mexico,
Oh, shit.
cops received this 911 call.
Sandoval County 911, what is the emergency?
My nephew came home from school and their mom, which is my sister, didn't come home
What time was the last time that the kids talked to her? How long ago was that?
last night, about 10:30.
And that's the last time they saw her?
Yeah. But from what my nephews tell me, when they went to school this morning, they said she wasn't here, but her car's are there. And her cell phone's here, her purse is here.
Are you guys wanting to report her as missing at this time?
Yes. We've talked to all her friends, anybody that she talks to on a daily basis, but nobody's seen her. It's just freaky.
Anita Sandoval reported her sister Dawn missing. Rio Rancho officers swiftly gathered Dawn's physical description and photographs to aid in the missing person investigation.
It's going to be Dawn Sandoval, 5'4", about 125, light brown hair. She has sleeve tattoos and a crown tattoo on her chest.
At that point, officers had no idea how crucial those tattoos would prove to be as the investigation continued. They quickly arrived at Dawn's house, where her two sons and Anita anxiously awaited her return.
So, my sister's not here.
Okay.
This is not like her.
Okay.
She knows that her boys, because her and her ex-husband are just finished finalizing their divorce. And so they have 50-50 custody. So she knows that today was her day. They went to bed last night around 10:30. She was here with the ex-husband.
Last night?
Yeah. They went to bed. When they got up to go to school this morning, neither one of them were here. Both her cars are here, her purse is here, her phone's here. Her phone is still connected by her bed. I had my nephew open it. She has so many missed alerts and stuff from today. And we've talked to everybody that she talks to, and nobody has seen her.
According to Anita, Dawn was last seen with her ex-husband, Michael Encinius, whom she had recently divorced. This revelation immediately became a key focus of their investigation. It was perplexing why, after their divorce, Encinius chose to spend the night at her house. Now, detectives intended to learn more about Dawn's mental state after the failed marriage and any potential threats she might have faced.
When was the last time you talked to her?
Last time I talked to her is Thursday.
How was her state then? How
She was okay.
She never made any threats of
Oh,
harming
no.
herself, or
She's a strong woman. She's been through this a few times.
okay.
So I know definitely she's a fighter.
According to Anita, Dawn had experienced similar failed relationships in the past. While the failed marriage wasn't particularly upsetting for Dawn, detectives suspected that her history of troubled relationships might be linked to her disappearance. But before looking into her past, they needed to search the entire house, including Dawn's bedroom, where she was supposed to have been the night before, for any clues. And what they discovered left them baffled.
We realized that there was no forced entry into the home, but the family did point out a couple of things that were out of the ordinary. It's like the bed. The bed didn't look right to them. They pointed out that she was a messy sleeper. It was semi-made, not how they described it usually was.
All the evidence pointed to one clear fact, that she'd not been forcibly abducted, as there was no strong signs of any serious struggle. It seemed that she had left the house willingly. Next, they searched other rooms, including the bathroom, to check if she had taken any of her essential items. But to their surprise, her toothbrush, hairbrush, and other daily necessities were neatly arranged and left behind. However, those items helped them in gathering DNA evidence from Dawn. Additionally, her purse, phone, and cars were found untouched in their usual spots. Having found no evidence of foul play, investigators then interviewed Dawn's twins, Donovan and Dylan, the last people to see her with their father Insidious that Sunday night. Detectives hoped their account might lead them closer to the truth.
He was with us all day yesterday because we had games in the morning. And then we went to go eat and then came back and then he stayed here, yeah. I went to bed, they both went up there. Our mom came in and told us to clean the room because we're trying to sell our house.
According to Donovan and Dylan, everything was normal that night and their father spent the entire night there. But in the morning, neither of their parents was there, and when they returned from school, the house was still empty. But what caught the detectives' attention was that Dawn had recently planned to sell her house. They found it highly suspicious that she'd mysteriously vanished just before finalizing the sale. As they delved deeper, they couldn't overlook the possibility that financial motives or a property transaction could have played a role in her disappearance and exposed her to any potential danger. Now they needed to locate her before it was too late. Having been with Dawn that night, Insidious was the last person who might know where she had gone afterward. But surprisingly, he wasn't there to question, and after interviewing Anita, the detectives uncovered a completely different story.
Mike told my nephew that he didn't stay here last night because she felt uncomfortable him staying the night here and that he left. But my nephew's here. The twins, they said he was here when they went to bed at 10:30. And then I talked to him. I just talked to him a while ago. And I said, "Where's my sister? You're apparently the last person to have seen her." He's like, "Yeah, I was." I said, "Well, where is she?" And he's like, "I don't know," just real firm about it. And I hung up on him. I said, "I don't want to talk to you."
Now, they had two conflicting stories about Insidious, whereas twins insisted he was with Dawn that entire night, while Insidious claimed he wasn't. Suspicion around Insidious was gradually intensifying, but before they could consider him as their prime suspect, Anita's new revelation made them think differently.
She had been, seeing somebody. He's a sheriff or something in Espanola.
She revealed that Dawn had recently been dating a sheriff named Harold Witt, whom she had met on a dating site. By that point, anyone closely connected to Dawn became a person of interest. But first, detectives called Insidious in for an interrogation, where their entire focus was to learn his version of the events about that night and to better understand his relationship with his ex-wife, Dawn.
You guys were married for 18 years?
Yeah.
Is your divorce finalized?
How niggas be killing their wives and shit? Like, what make you do it? What give you the motive to do it?
Yeah. So, kind of help me understand y'all's relationship since.
So yeah, we separated in December, and then we have been living apart, and got divorced February 23rd, and then since then I was in a relationship, and then like on Thursday of last week, Dawn and I started talking a lot more. I don't remember if I spent Thursday or not, but yeah, I was there Friday night, Saturday night. So we were working out more. Like we were talking things out, working things out more, just trying to move forward, basically. It seemed like we were going to make it work again, like we were taking the steps to get back together. I saw that I was losing my family, I saw that I was losing what I wanted to fix. That's why we're trying to make this work.
According to Insidious, he was determined to fix their relationship and recently reached out to her in an effort to reconnect. But that night, Dawn asked him to leave because she was feeling uncomfortable spending the entire night with him, which was why he left around midnight. Initially, his statements didn't raise any significant doubts, as he seemed cooperative and eager to assist them in the investigation. However, as investigators dug deeper into Dawn's past, they found that prior to her marriage to Insidious, she'd been married to a man named Rick Trujillo, whom she fell in love with at the age of 16. After their marriage in 1990, they welcomed 3 sons over the next 4 years, Ricky, Kevin, and their youngest son, Jonathan. But their happiness was soon overshadowed by a tragic event that ultimately tore them apart.
Baby Jonathan was 10 months old when he was found stuck between the mattress and the railing of the crib. I just remember there being no words.
After the incident, they both were struggling to stay together. The tragic loss, coupled with his traumatic experiences in the Gulf War, became overwhelming for Rick, and the mounting stress ultimately destroyed their relationship, ending 5 years of happy marriage. Dawn eventually moved on with her life. As a dedicated nurse, she was passionate about her work and, like a fighter, worked hard to rebuild her life. But then something completely unexpected happened. Detectives learned from her eldest son, Ricky, about a shocking tragedy Dawn had faced sometime after the divorce.
The whole fighter aspect of my mom came from her first marriage with my father, with my real dad. She had to fight. My real dad didn't really give her an easy plate to eat off of. And I was introduced to death at such a young age, with my father being murdered.
After the revelation of Rick's suspicious murder, the mystery of Dawn's disappearance took a darker turn, with detectives now suspecting the 2 incidents might be linked. Yet despite their best efforts, still they found no clues as to Dawn's whereabouts. And the deeper they dug into her personal life, the more complex the investigation became. However, after Rick's death, Dawn took sole responsibility for raising her 2 sons, Ricky and Kevin. She worked tirelessly to provide for them. Slowly, things got back to normal, and she found joy in her life again. But still, she felt as if something was missing from her life. By 1999, Dawn made up her mind to embrace love once more. When a friend introduced her to electrician Mike Insinius, she was immediately captivated by his personality and impressive work ethic. In the following year, they got married and soon welcomed their own twins, Donovan and Dylan. Meanwhile, her older sons, Ricky and Kevin, grew up and eventually moved out of her house. But after 9 years of marriage, the cracks started to show in their relationship when Dawn discovered that Insinius was having an affair with another woman. Though devastated by the betrayal, she chose to forgive him and give their marriage a second chance. She realized that she was in an unhealthy relationship, but still wanted to find a way to save it. But Insinius' disloyalty wasn't over yet. In 2017, on the joyful occasion of Dawn's birthday, Insinius coldly informed her that he wanted to end their marriage, confessing he'd fallen for a much younger woman named Melissa, who was just 24 years old. Within months, Dawn was divorced for a second time.
When their divorce was final, it was like a weight had been lifted off of her, and she could just now have a life.
But despite being unlucky in love twice, she remained hopeful about finding love again. She immersed herself in social events, enjoying parties and a vibrant social life. Ignoring her friends' warnings, she even started using dating sites, casually meeting men she encountered online.
She met a guy named Billy, who she was pretty smitten with. But I remember telling her, be careful. Always tell somebody who you're with and where you're at, and always be in a public place.
Harold Witt was one of the men she'd met online, but from Dawn's phone data, detectives soon discovered that he wasn't the only one. At the same time, Dawn was also dating another man named Lucas. Dawn's lifestyle strongly indicated that this could be a case of love, betrayal, and rivalry, with everyone now under suspicion.
What was his last communication with Dawn? What was his information about Dawn? What was their relationship just in general? It was this tangled web of relationships that we needed to dissect, because the number one goal here was finding where Dawn was, and finding out was Dawn was okay.
They then interviewed Harold, a member of law enforcement.
I kind of unfortunately, the folks that I've met by phone is under the circumstances, I've never met them before. Her son Kevin texted me Sunday and just asking if I knew her whereabouts. I told him I didn't. So he texted me later that night around 7 or 8, that she wasn't around, which I found strange. So I texted her asking, hey, are you okay? Your son's looking for you, give him a call. And so I kind of left it as that. The relationship between her and I is we kind of were dating, but not a serious type thing. I'm at that point in my life where that's not what I'm looking for. We hung out as friends and whatnot, but, I've always been upfront and honest about that. She understood with me, but describing Dawn as a person, to me, she's seemed like she was pretty, set on starting her life over, independent. But she didn't appear sad. I mean, she laughed a lot. I mean, she was actually a real good person to be around. I mean, she was a great person to be around. I mean, I can't say nothing but positive about her.
Harold denied having any serious relationship with Dawn, and detectives gleaned no helpful insights regarding her disappearance. With no leads from Harold, they turned their attention to Lucas.
Just kind of from the beginning.
Okay. We met on Match.com. I'd say March 15th, 16th, or 17th. We started texting back and forth, and then we started dating.
March of this year, 22.
Yeah, okay. Just recently, like 4 weeks ago. Anything I can do to help you guys, because she was a wonderful person. She had a really big heart. What happened was, I'm going through a divorce now, so we had met, and we were just talking, and I had just, she started falling in love with me, and I was the same way, and I said, I can't do this. You know what I mean? I've been away from my 4 months now. I said, I can't do this. I'm not ready to be that committed to somebody else. I just hope you guys get some answers or something, because she's a really good person.
Unfortunately, detectives couldn't find any connection between Dawn's disappearance and her 2 recent boyfriends. But they found it very perplexing that all the suspects in this case genuinely seemed to care for Dawn with no intention of harming her.
I got pulled over right here, man. I'm gonna put a star right there. I'll never forget. I'm gonna hang this bitch on the wall. Right there.
And each of them was eager to cooperate with the investigation. They deemed it was too good to be true. However, by then, detectives still had no solid evidence against any of the suspects, and the path to finding Dawn seemed to be narrowing. Just then, detectives received a significant tip from Lucas about an old enemy of Dawn, which widely opened the case, introducing new possibilities.
His girlfriend, Mike's girlfriend, is like 24, 25, 26, somewhere. She's kind of young. She had called the police, I guess, so that they could have her arrested, because she has some warrants of some sort. And she had told me that she was concerned about the boys being with her, because the boys had told her that she was driving stoned sometimes. And I told her, I said, you can't have your boys with somebody that's irresponsible like that.
It was very intriguing that just 4 days prior to her disappearance, Dawn had called 911 to report about Insidious' girlfriend, Melissa, for dangerously driving after smoking marijuana with her twin sons in the car. Additionally, Melissa was known for her reckless lifestyle, including substance abuse, gambling, and other unhealthy habits. Melissa had been Dawn's longtime rival, the one responsible for her divorce from Insidious. As Dawn had her arrested, their rivalry might have escalated to new heights, driving either of them toward dangerous actions. Although Melissa was in jail during Dawn's disappearance, detectives knew that for a criminal, plotting something from behind bars was never a difficult task. So they interviewed Melissa in jail, and what she revealed completely changed the direction of the investigation.
Well, I talked to Mike, and Mike had told me, Dawn's missing and this and that, and I was like...
So what do you think about her?
My gut feeling tells me that she's up to something. I feel like she has a plan. God forbid anything has happened to her, but I just feel from the beginning, she's always told him, from what he told me from their past, she's, scandalous, and she does anything to win. She always gets the last laugh in, and, she'll do anything. In my heart, I feel like she's just out there, laughing.
Without contacting anybody?
Yeah.
Melissa believed Dawn had orchestrated her own disappearance in order to blame others. The detectives couldn't completely dismiss her claims, especially considering that Dawn was involved in multiple relationships at the time. It was possible that, to avoid potential consequences, she might have deliberately gone into hiding. But when detectives interviewed Dawn's son, Kevin, about the matter, he expressed a starkly contrasting opinion.
I never believed that it was just a plan or nothing like that. I knew that it was very unusual. She would have come back, So there was no reason she wouldn't have been gone for that long without saying something to somebody.
At this point, he had no idea that the days ahead would reveal shocking truths about his mother that would change everything forever. However, detectives couldn't rule out Melissa as a potential deeper into her recent connections with the outside world, and that was when they discovered something highly suspicious. While she was in jail, she'd frequently communicated with Insidious both before and after Dawn's disappearance. When detectives reviewed those recorded phone calls, they found strange conversations between the two.
What we heard on the phone call was that Michael told the ex-girlfriend don't call me on my regular phone, call me on my work phone.
Do you know the number? Can you call me back to the other phone?
What other phone?
Or is it hard? My work phone?
I don't have the number.
The phone calls indicated that both Melissa and Insidious might be linked to Dawn's disappearance. And most importantly, Insidious had never told detectives that he had a work phone too. As a result, they seized both of Insidious's phones for further analysis, which would soon uncover new clues.
So we're looking through both phones. There was no relevant information from the work phone. So we started looking at his personal phone. I discovered that the GPS settings were set to a specific setting, which shows every time Michael went to a repeated location, his phone told him that he was entering that location over and over and over again. I saw that on the night she went missing, Michael's phone didn't leave Dawn's house until about 12:31, 2 minutes after he sent the text message of "I love you." So he sent the text before he left her driveway, then he leaves the house, which really raised a red flag for us.
Meanwhile, detectives had another issue to address, as Melissa's involvement in the matter was still unclear to them even after analyzing the phone data. However, with all the emerging clues, Insidious's activities of that night became the primary focus of their investigation. So they reviewed CCTV footage from his neighborhood, and that was when the entire murky situation began to clear up.
He walks into the gas station, gets $10 worth of gas, and buys a Monster energy drink, pays in cash. People drink energy drinks all the time, but we were all thinking this is 12:45 in the morning. Like, why are you buying an energy drink? And we discovered there was a surveillance camera from Michael's neighborhood that captured his truck coming into the neighborhood after he left Dawn's house. And that was pretty consistent with what Michael had told us. His truck comes out of the neighborhood about 8 minutes later and doesn't return home until about 2:50 in the morning. So he was gone for about 2.5 hours, which was different from what the phone data told us. The cell phone data told us that his phone never left. So now we knew that Michael left his house, but the phone stayed there, and that was a really big clue for us. What's going on here? Like, why are we finding these inconsistencies in what he said and what he did?
From the surveillance footage, it became certain that he didn't go straight home from Dawn's house that night, as he'd claimed in his initial interviews. But unfortunately, the CCTV analysis couldn't reveal the exact location Insidious went or what he was doing until 2:50 a.m. Since he deliberately left his phone at Dawn's house, its location couldn't offer any answers either. So detectives called Insidious in for another interrogation with the plan to slowly build the pressure until he broke down and revealed the truth. But he was already prepared with a counter strategy.
When he says, "Have you found anything out?" it was, you would expect more, is she okay? Have you found any evidence? Have you found,
damn, what they be
what
wanting that
happened?
nigga to say?
It felt to me like he didn't want to help. He wanted to know what we knew and kind of embed himself in our investigation.
But when asked where he was going with the truck that night, he gave explanations which detectives found very strange.
He told us he just went for a drive because he didn't want to be home alone. The area where he drives to is the end of the city. Literally drop off into a culvert. So he says he smoked marijuana and he fell asleep. We asked him why he went out there and what he was doing while he was out there.
I just wanted to go like the most secluded way, just so I could smoke.
He says, "I just wanted to be alone," which was an absolute complete opposite of, "I didn't want to be at home alone." That was a big deal. These were major inconsistencies.
However, the interrogation was far from over. Despite his clever tactics, the detectives would soon trap him in a difficult situation.
Somebody did something bad to her. She's just out there right now, waiting to be found.
Yeah, like I still believe, but then like Kevin, he worries me when he says like she never done this before, and like I tell him like you don't know your mom, you don't know what lifestyle she had, like after we got divorced, Like, I don't know, like.
In your heart, do you feel like she's alive right now?
Yes, I like to still think yes.
I know what you're saying, like, you won't want to give up all hope.
Yeah, I don't want to say that, no.
He grew noticeably uncomfortable when they questioned the possibility of Dawn still being alive. In his response, he portrayed himself as a grieving partner who was hopeful to see his ex-wife alive again. Though he was still the prime suspect, unfortunately, after another round of interrogation, the detectives were unable to extract any new information from him. But soon, a major breakthrough would emerge in the case. A few days later, on May 5th, 2018, at around 6:07 p.m., they received a chilling 911 call from a biker.
Sandoval County Police Fire and Rescue.
Hi. I was wondering, is there any way you could send me out at the end of Southern?
The end of Southern?
Yeah, like the very, very end, I guess you call it, like the backbone.
Uh-huh. For what reason?
I don't know if it's an animal or a person, but it kind of looks like an arm.
The cops immediately rushed to the remote desert area of West Rio Rancho, where they would witness a gruesome sight that no one could have ever imagined.
So I get out there, I meet up with the gentleman.
Is it right here?
He showed me where it was. It was about 15 feet down in like a slope or an embankment. You know, as I'm looking at it, it's starting to look more and more like a human arm. Once I got to the point where I was pretty sure that this was a human arm, you know, obviously I'm gonna have to call detectives, I'm gonna have to call my lieutenant and let them know, okay, this is what I think that I have.
Although the rest of the body had been mostly burned, the tattoo on the remaining arm was enough to give a clear indication about the victim's identity.
We verified that the tattoo and the outside of the forearm matched the location, color, the design that Dawn Sandoval had.
Detectives carefully examined the crime scene for additional evidence, which further confirmed her identity.
We also learned that there was evidence of a fire on the body.
Once she was extracted, we found the keys in the wallet under her remains. At that point, there was no reason to believe it was anything other than homicide.
Dawn's family and friends were informed about the tragedy, and all of their hopes of seeing her again were shattered. After the shocking discovery, detectives still had no clear answer as to who could have committed such a heinous act, even though all the evidence pointed to Encinius. However, the circumstantial evidence gathered so far was enough to secure a search warrant for his house and truck. Since he'd been spotted leaving Dawn's house in his truck on the night of the murder, it was highly probable that he'd used it to transport the body to the remote location. If detectives could find Dawn's blood or DNA in the truck, it would directly link him to the murder. However, the chances of evidence still being there were low, as weeks had passed, giving him ample opportunity to potentially erase all evidence from the truck. On May 6th, after a thorough search of his house and truck, he was brought back to the police station, where detectives showed him the disturbing crime scene photos to gauge his reaction.
I just wanted you to know what we found today.
His reaction was taking deep breaths. There was never an overt emotional response. Like, he didn't cry.
Seeing those photos, his reaction was strangely cold. When detectives tried to question him further, he responded cleverly by carefully exercising his legal rights.
Okay, so you don't want to talk about what's been going on and all that?
No.
Okay.
No, I think it's already to the point where I need to get a lawyer or talk to a lawyer before talking anymore to you. I think I've already been extremely helpful.
Once again, he was able to walk free as the authorities were constrained by legal limits. However, that wouldn't happen again, and soon they would have strong evidence to put him in handcuffs. While examining his truck, investigators found a tiny red stain along with other evidence, which were sent for forensic analysis. When the results finally arrived, it confirmed their suspicions.
We finally got the forensic analysis back from the crime lab from that evidence that was in the back of his truck, and the evidence that we had cut out the back seat returned to Dawn's DNA profile. It was blood evidence, and it was one of the most important pieces of evidence because through the first interview, Michael reiterated over and over and over again that Dawn had never been in that truck, that she wouldn't go in the truck. So it was pretty damning evidence, and we were able to finally present the case to the DA's office.
With strong forensic evidence against him, Encinius had no way to evade them any longer. In March 2019, while he was in his garage, a fully prepared team of law enforcement arrived to arrest him on charges of second-degree murder and evidence tampering.
Come here. Put your hands. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Walk this way. When I say let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Turn around.
Encinius was finally arrested and taken into custody. But detectives were surprised to discover that Encinius had no prior criminal record. After the murder, there were no financial transactions from Don's account, so money couldn't be the motive. Additionally, detectives found no involvement of his girlfriend Melissa in the crime, which meant he had acted alone.
Our theory was that whatever sparked the anger and the argument that night between Don and Michael, he ultimately strangled and or suffocated her in the bedroom in a way that caused her to lose her life.
After the divorce, he was desperate to win her back, but her constant rejections seemed to frustrate him deeply. But after 18 years in the relationship, what he'd done to the person he claimed to love the most only revealed the dark and twisted nature of his psyche.
I think in the moment that he killed Dawn, he was thinking of the hurt and pain in his perspective that she had caused him. And once it was over, there was no reset button. She was dead.
Since there was no evidence that the murder was premeditated, it was considered a spur-of-the-moment act. But his cold-blooded plan to cover up the murder proved what an evil monster he was. After killing Dawn, he showed no guilt or remorse and continued to live his life, maintaining his relationship with Melissa as if nothing had happened. He didn't even show any concern for his sons, who had lost their loving mother. He appeared to be a psychopath who could do anything to fulfill his desires. He couldn't accept that Dawn was moving on without him and looking for new love, even though he had betrayed her many times. However, with overwhelming evidence against him, he had no way to escape the punishment he deserved. On November 15, 2018, 7 months after the murder, the case was presented to a grand jury. Encinius pleaded not guilty. But investigators had their theory about his horrendous actions, backed by overwhelming evidence. Finally, after a long legal battle, in August 2019, Encinius was found guilty by the court of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison.
I think Don's family got justice because they saw the day in court where a jury told Michael, "You're guilty of what you did, and now you got to pay for it." Doesn't bring her back, doesn't change anything, but seeing the person that the family thought they knew in Michael be able to do this to their daughter and their sister and their mother, I think really opened their eyes, and they got as much closure as they could.
Dawn and her loved ones finally received justice. However, it was hard for her loved ones to accept the heartbreaking truth.
I have a collage of a bunch of her pictures, and there's one picture where she's smiling, but her eyes say something different. And I sit there and I look at that one picture, and I would just take it in until the sad is over, the hurt is over. I feel that the jealousy is where it drove him to actually do what he did, to actually kill her.
I've thought about it for a long time, and I honestly think it is because of her moving on, I have a lot of pictures of my mom and my daughter. I just want to express to my daughter how much my mom loved her, how much my mom looked forward to being a grandma, and I'd probably just ask her if she was proud of me,
Dawn's close friends were also profoundly affected by her loss, as she was a loving friend with whom they'd shared countless cherished memories.
She was my other half. We had matching tattoos. I have one side, the yin, and she had the yang, because we balanced each other out.
The world lost a great person. We all miss her so much. Her laugh. Can't get that out of my head.
But Dawn's family seemed trapped in an unending cycle of tragedy. 4 years after Dawn's death, on August 23, 2022, her eldest son, Ricky Trujillo, tragically died in a motorcycle accident at the age of 31. The untimely losses of 4 cherished family members must have been extremely devastating for their loved ones. All we can hope for is healing, strength, and happiness for the family. Before we conclude, we want to extend our heartfelt condolences for Dawn Sandoval and her loved ones.
Alright, man. RIP to Don. We're gonna go ahead and end this one right here, man. Y'all go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Hope I have a blessed one. See y'all on the next video.